Greetings VC, TC Kirkham here, TKR Video Central. Welcome to another episode of TC's Vinyl Archive, the complete albums collection. We ended last segment, show 14, with the Osmonds. So we're going to pick up with the last O that I have. I'm going to have to move it over to the other slot. There's enough room. I can put it with the Osmonds. And we'll end, I think, somewhere in the S's today. We're going to start things off with this, the last O of all of the O's. This is Oxo. Oxo had one minor hit that everybody knows called Whirly Girl in 1982 or 83. The gentleman in the front, that's Ish Ledesma. Here he goes by Ish Angel. He was the leader of Foxy, later did some solo stuff. Love this guy, have almost everything he did. He was just terrific. And this is great new wave pop with a start of synth pop, but not quite as heavy as British stuff was. Now, let's get into the P's. We will kick off the P's with this one. This is a classic. Pablo Cruz and Worlds Away. Picked this up from Dawn, I believe. Nope, Record Crate. This has Level Find a Way. Don't Want to Live Without It, and I Go to Rio. I thought there was a fourth single, but I don't think there is. Pablo Cruz, very 70s yacht rock. Good stuff. Next up, my collection of artists or group or people that were very popular in the vinyl community. There's several other vinyl community members that I happen to know are big fans, and I know of at least one channel that's all about them. I am talking about the Partridge Family. I have all but one of the albums on vinyl, and I have several on CD too, but I still don't have Bulletin Board. It's the only one I don't have. This is the Partridge Family Crossword Puzzle. This was their second to last album. No big hits came off this, although there was, I think, is this the one with Looking Through the Eyes of Love, or is that Notebook? I can't remember which one. I don't think there was any singles released off this, because this was the last album that came out right, or was Bulletin Board the last one? I don't remember. It was during the last season, and nothing huge came off of it. Notebook came out during the season 3. This one has Walking in the Rain, Together We're Better, and Looking Through the Eyes of Love. This is actually a really good album. It's a shame that they'd started to drop off in sales by this point, because they had some of the best stuff on here. I love Together We're Better. That's one of my favorite songs by the Partridge Family. This is the original album, the Partridge Family album. I've had this since I was 6 or 7. As you can see, I was writing on it back then. It is in absolute shit shape. I don't know if you can tell, but it's all scuffed and marked up. This had I Think I Love You and Doesn't Somebody Want to Be Wanted, and I'll Meet You Halfway on it. I think, no, I'll Meet You Halfway is from up to date. I have this on CD also. I have most of these on CD also. This is Shopping Bag, with the free shopping bag inside that is long gone. This is my original copy. Again, I was marking the songs I liked and didn't like on them. It has that wonderful little trifold that opens up into a great picture of the cast. Not in the best of shape. This had Am I Losing You, and It's One of Those Nights were the two singles from this. Partridge Family Sound Magazine. Again, you can tell the age. There's writing. I even put a price on the front of it at one point. I don't know why. I was a strange little kid. This is the third album. It features, what was the single off this? I Woke Up in Love This Morning. Was that the only single released off this? Yeah. Although Echo Valley 26809, written by Rupert Holmes, was a very popular album track. Up to Date, their second album. This is a more recent copy I picked up from Dawn. This is my original, which has been ripped to shreds and is in terrible shape. This album also has the book cover. I actually used this when I was a kid with it. This album had I'll Meet You Halfway, and actually Doesn't Somebody Want to Be Wanted was on this one. I don't know why I was thinking it was on the first one. Both of those are on here, and She'd Rather Have a Rain, which was a top-notch album track. This is still from the first season, as you can tell from the presence of Jeremy Gelbox, who was playing Chris Partridge the first season. And as I said, the only one I don't have is Bulletin Board, and I have a couple of greatest hits albums. We'll see when we get to those. Poco next. I picked this one up from Dawn, I believe. This one is from 1982 on Atlantic. I don't think they had any big hits off Ghost Town. I don't recognize anything as being a hit. I did think this was an excellent album. I always liked Poco. They were excellent. They were slightly harder leaning rock, always good. Excuse me. And Legend, which came out in '78, I believe. This has Crazy Love on it, which was their biggest pop hit. And Heart of the Night, which was the follow-up single. Excellent album. The Police next. This is Ghost in the Machine. As spirits in the material world, every little thing she does is magic. I'm trying to see if there was another single on this. I don't think there was. Great album from 82 or 81. 81. Synchronicity, I don't know. I know there's like 150 different covers of this or something like that. I never bothered. Of course, this has Every Breath You Take, the title track, and what was the other single of us? King of Pain and Wrapped Around Your Finger. The sad thing is, I have the first two albums on a cassette a friend made for me. I still have those. I listen to those more often than I listen to any of those because those first two albums were excellent. Pseudo Echo from 1986 and their album which features their cover of Funky Town. Good album, good Australian rock, fun stuff. Excuse me. Quarter Flash, this was their third and final album on Geffen Records that I'm aware of. No great big hits off here, I think. Trying to see if this had anything I was really aware of, and I don't see anything. This is the second album, Take Another Picture. It had Take Me to Heart and Take Another Picture. Was that the other single off this album? Good stuff. And Quarter Flash, their self-titled debut album, featured all their big hits, Harden My Heart, Find Another Fool, Right Kind of Love. Great stuff. Now, I don't know if I've told this story or not. I actually saw them live before they became Quarter Flash. Before they became Quarter Flash, they were a band called Seafood Mama, and they were out of Portland, Oregon. They were playing, I distinctly remember them playing the Tomorrowland Terrace at Disneyland when we were down there at Christmas '79. I've never been able to find any proof of it, but I remember the band was called Sailcat Mama, Seafood Mama, whatever the name of the band was, and it turned out that was Quarter Flash. I learned that from Casey Kasem. Maybe it's a Mandela memory. I don't know, but I do remember the band, and I'm pretty sure it was them. Queen Live Killers. This is one of the few live albums I do like. Lots of good. All their big hits are on here. This came out in '79, I believe, because I'm pretty sure it was before Another One Bites the Dust and those on there. But great stuff. This was an RCA Music Club release. I got this from a friend. I traded it for something else. I don't know why the Cleveland Browns sticker is on there. Got this from Black Box. Was overjoyed to do so. I love these guys. Rascal Flat, Back to Us, Deluxe Edition. Has their hits, Yours If I Want It, I Know You Won't, Dance. So much good stuff. Rascal Flat's one of my favorite acts of the 2000s. It doesn't hurt that they come from Columbus. I'm originally from, I was born in Washington, but my mom's family's from Ohio, and I lived there for over a dozen years. Here. Yeah. Next up, the 3 of the 4 albums by the Raspberries. The only one I don't have is the die-cut one. I have the other ones. One of which I picked up from Adam at Record Crate. That's this one, Fresh Raspberries. This was the second incarnation, I believe, of the band. Although, no, this is still the first kind of incarnation. I Want to Be With You is on here. Let's Pretend is on here. Those are pretty well known by them. I just was an enormous Eric Carmen fan, as I've made clear on my influencers and a few other things. It's so sad we lost him a couple of years ago. He was magnificent. The other 2 I picked up in that 10-cent bin. This, believe it or not, this was in the 10-cent bin in 1985 when I picked it up. It still had the hype sticker, which I no longer have. you can still smell the raspberry scratch and sniff sticker 50 years later. This is the album with Go All the Way and Don't Want to Say Goodbye from mid-1973, I believe, or 72. This was the fourth and final album, Starting Over. He would later, Eric would go solo after this. This has the marvelous Overnight Sensation. And what's the other single? There's one other single on here. I want to say it's the title track, Starting Over, but I'm not sure. Raspberries are just awesome, just like Eric Carmen is. Picked this up in recent years. It's a cutout. I had the single, the original single, then of course it was re-released with a different mix. It became a hit all over again. This is Real Life, and Down Comes the Hammer. Send Me an Angel was their big hit off this. Going way back to 1970, I picked this up from Record Crate. This is the debut album from Redbone, Potlatch. This would be 2 albums before they would start clicking with the Witch Queen of New Orleans, and then even bigger would Come and Get Your Love and Wovoka. This album is just as good. They were a terrific band. I just love everything I've ever heard by them. They were marvelous. This I got from my stepfather's father, so my step-grandfather. He gave me a bunch of albums he wanted to get rid of, and this was, I believe, a promo at some point, because it has a white label from GRC. This is Red, White, and Bluegrass, Pickin' Up. It is bluegrass. There's some interesting stuff in here. But my favorite thing on here, their cover of Amazing Grace, which is sung to the tune of The House of the Rising Sun. It is really bizarre, but it's really good. REO Speedwagon, High Infidelity. Everybody had this if you were a teenager in 1981. Filled. They had had 4 not so successful albums before this came out and turned them into an overnight sensation like 10 years after they formed. Don't Let Him Go, Keep on Loving You, In Your Letter, Take It on the Run. All singles from this album. All fantastic. Great, great album. Renaissance, I've listened to this once. I picked this up at a vinyl community auction. It's good. Don't have any major bad or good things to say about it. I found it interesting to try it out. It's on Sire Records. This is an anomaly. This cover does not go with the album inside. This is a Paul Revere and the Raiders album, supposedly Midnight Ride. This was given to me by my cousin Donna, but when she gave it to me, the album inside is their album Revolution, not Midnight Ride. So I had the wrong album for the wrong cover, but it's typical Paul Revere and the Raiders from the late 60s. Great stuff. Live greatest hits, kind of. I got this from Black Box. This is classic Rolling Stones, Get Your Yayas Out. Not bad for live stuff. I don't, like I said before, I'm not a big live fan. It has to be really good to make me like it. And it's not bad. One of 2 offshoot bands to come off of ex-Bay City Rollers members. This is Rosetta Stone. Ian Mitchell, the late Ian Mitchell, was the lead singer for this. They had a hit with a cover of Sunshine of Your Love off this. It was a minor hit. A lot of this is cover, and it's more disco than anything else. There's some rock tones to it. But I got this in a cutout bin. I don't know if it was in that 10-cent cutout bin or not, because it's not marked that way. But it's a good album. It's a good pop for the late 70s. Rose Royce, who I've talked about my love for R&B music from the 70s particularly. Doesn't have to be disco. I like funk and I like straight R&B too, along with all my pop stuff. Rose Royce was one of my favorite acts, and I picked a couple of their albums up from Adam at Record Crate. I think the first 2. But they have great stuff on them. This one is Rose Royce 2 in full bloom. This features their classic hit Wishing on a Star. Also has Ooh Boy, which was a a big R&B hit. I don't think it hit the pop chart. I might be wrong. I'd have to look, or at least it wasn't a very big hit. And then Rolls Royce 3. Rolls Royce 3 Strikes Again. This is the one everyone should have because it has Love Don't Live Here Anymore, which is one of the greatest songs of all time. Another song that's in my top 50 of all time. I love Rolls Royce. They were just one of the best R&B bands of the 70s. They're the only act I have on Whitfield Records. And, man, these were worth the money I paid for them. I love them. Rossington Collins Band. This came from Steve at Value Vinyl, I think. This is the Way, or it might have been one of the ones I got in that auction, or that sale online, because those were all random. It was just like $10 for 10 albums. That, of course, is the offshoot of Leonard Skinner to the surviving members. It's pretty good. I remember liking it pretty well. I picked this up from Adam, and I'm going to be honest, I don't know if I ever listened to it or not. It doesn't sound familiar. It was the Brothers Rowan. It's called The Rowans. Yeah, I don't think I ever listened to this. I did miss a couple here and there. I don't think I've ever listened to this, so I'm going to put that in my to be listened to pile, because I don't remember anything about it. If I did listen to it, it didn't make an impression. Okay, next up, my Rubinoos collection. I am a huge fan of the Rubinoos. I also have the 2-issue albums, their first 2 albums, which were reissued on Record Store Day or Black Friday. I think it was both Black Friday issues a couple years ago. What I'm going to show you now is my OGs of all of these. I have both of those, and we'll see them when I get to the Record Store Day stuff. This is their second album, Back to the Drawing Board. This is where I was introduced to them. I'd never heard of them other than seeing them in the teen magazines every now and then when I was a teenager. It was a cutout also. Got it for, I don't know, a couple bucks. This has their classic song, I Want to Be Your Boyfriend, which was later recorded by The Party and turned into an album hit, at least on certain stations in the early 90s. Also has Arcade Queen. This was with the original lineup, and it is, I love this album. It is terrific. Very typical San Francisco Bay Area power pop from Berserkly Records. They are just great stuff. This is a collection that came out a couple years ago called the CBS Tapes. This was released by Yep Rock Records, and all of it is good. I mean, all of it is good, but there is the highlight of the album, and it never fails to completely bust me up, is their cover of Heartbeat, It's a Love Beat, complete with a couple of nasty expletives thrown in the middle. They also do I Want to Hold Your Hand and Sugar Sugar on this. These were basically demos, previously unreleased demos. They recorded them in 1976 in San Francisco. And it's a fun album, and it's all the original members. They all... oh, excuse me. Yep Rock also released this limited edition yellow and black and yellow splatter vinyl from Home. Oh, and that hype sticker is bleeding. I don't like that. This also came with a digital download. From Home, there's the cool vinyl. Most of this stuff had never been released, and this was recorded much later when they were together in the 2000s, and it's a dynamite album. As the duo, John Rubin and Tommy Dunbar became a duo in the early 80s and released this EP, Party of Two. They had a terrific MTV hit called If I Had You Back on here. This whole disc is great. It has a little water damage from when we moved when I was a kid. Absolutely fantastic album. And I mean, it's an EP. There's 5 songs, but it's terrific. And the original album, the album that started it all for them, the Rubinoos, self-titled, features their cover of I Think We're Alone Now. Great other stuff on here like Rock and Roll is Dead, Wouldn't It Be Nice, which is an original, not the Beach Boys song, and a lot of great stuff. If you've never listened to the Rubinoos and you're into, San Francisco power pop from the 70s, Greg Kihn Band and stuff, check them out because they're worth it. Every single album I have by them is awesome. Rush. Yes, Rush. Permanent Waves. This is the only... I was listening to Creme FM at the time I bought this in Spokane. I was high school senior. I picked it up from Columbia House or RCA during one of my memberships because it had Spirit of Radio and Free Will on it, which were both huge hits on Creme FM, and I love both those songs. Surprisingly, I don't have much else by Rush. I have a couple of singles I've ended up buying from Don and Mary at one point or another, but that's it. I don't know if Kim has... I know Kim loves Tom Sawyer because it was Carrie Von Erich's entrance music, but I don't know if she has it. I'll have to check. Sad Cafe, one of the most underrated bands of all time. I don't get why they never took off here. This is the second album. I picked this up from Adam at Record Crate, I believe. Facades from 1980. Paul Young, not the solo Paul Young, but the Paul Young that was associated with... Not Squeeze, that's Paul Carrick. Paul Young was associated with another band too after this. This is not Paul Young of Every Time You Go Away. He's the lead singer. This is a good album. I like this. I had not heard any of it before I bought it from Adam, but I had been addicted to Misplaced Ideals, which came out in 1978. This has Run Home Girl on it, another one of my all-time favorite songs. Terrific album all the way through. I don't understand why they never took off here. I think they're just dynamite, and I wish more people talked about them. The South Soul Orchestra, this came from Dawn, as you can see from... She always seals things like that when she sends them. I put it back on, and I swear I listened to this. Why did I put that back on there? I swear I listened to this. Maybe not. All right, let me check. What's on it? What's on it? Yes, I listened to this. It's got... Honestly, it's got Tangerine... Their best known hit from the 19... It's a disco classic, and I don't know why I left that sticker on there, honestly. This is one of two copies I got, which was a mistake, because at the time I was buying a lot of stuff, and I was just still pretty new in the vinyl community. I was picking up a lot of the stuff I'd always wanted, and I ordered this twice by accident. One's actually in better shape than the other, so it's pretty cool. And I think actually, I don't think it was an accident. I think one of them came from Dawn or Value Vinyl. This is the one I bought. Sanford Townsend and Duo Glide. This is great stuff. This is the second album. No big hits from this, unfortunately, but it has some great yacht rock style music on it. A lot of horns, too. The album that has their best known hit is this one. This is titled Smoke. It was sealed when I bought it. Smoke from a Distant Fire. This came from Adam at Record Crate. Smoke from a Distant Fire, one of my favorite songs of that era. The whole album is awesome. They put the lyrics on the back cover, which I thought was interesting. They don't get enough credit either for being major yacht rock people in the late 70s. Santa Esmeralda featuring Leroy Gomez. One of the best disco albums of all time. Features their incredible cover of Don't Let Me Be Misunderstood and a lot of great dance music. I don't use much of it. Everything I've got for Disco Party, I usually have either purchased on download or had on CD. I haven't tried to rip off an album yet, but I should do this because there's Gloria and You're My Everything are great dance songs too. Sawyer Brown, I have the first 3 albums they did. I was a big fan of theirs when they were on Star Search the first season. This is their debut album, featured their hit Leona. Pretty good country pop for the era. This is the third album, on Outgoing Cattin', which I loved, and it didn't do that well. They sunk and then they bounced back. But this is my favorite album by them. They have some great stuff on this album. And then the one that came in the middle, Shaken. This is good too. Betty's Being Bad was, I think, the main single. They never, I mean, they had a number of country number one hits, but never seemed to get the respect that Restless Heart got at the same time, and Southern Pacific, and that stinks because they were good. Okay, um, I've only listened to this once. I know it came out in '78 or '79, um, and it's power pop, power rock. I remember when seeing the billboard ads for it. This is Shoes, present tense. I found this pretty pleasant. I have not listened to it more than once. Another one of those I forgot I ordered. So actually, I mentioned this on the last one with the Nirvana. If anyone needs a copy of Silverchair's Diorama, I have 2 music on vinyl copies, and you are welcome. I bought this one from iMusic in 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 Copenhagen when it was on sale, and then I at some point ordered another copy. And I think they both came from iMusic. Obviously, at some point I ordered another copy. I don't know why. Um, this is probably my favorite Silverchair album. I have all of them, and I have Daniel's solo album. Across the Night is so Beatlesque. It's incredible. This whole album is magnificent. I believe it was 2002. Terrific album. I love all of the Silverchair stuff, but that one and is it White Lines, the last one they did before their hiatus, both magnificent albums. Um, Straight Lines, that was it. I knew I'd think of it. Silver Convention from 1976. This features Get Up and Boogie, and this was released after Fly Robin Fly came out, so it's not on here. That's on the first one. And the album is just called Silver Convention. Great disco. Another one I got from my cousin Donna, and it was in crap shape before I got it. The Sounds of the Silly Surfers and the Sounds of the Weirdos. 60s humor. I don't get it. Never have thought that was all that great. Sister Sledge, Love Somebody Today. This is I got this in a cutout bin, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, there's the notch. This has their hit Reach Your Peak on it, which has always been one of my favorite songs by them. Strangely enough, I only have 12-inch singles and 7-inch singles other than that album, because I never bought them. Oh, yeah. I'm going to ask Professor Carlson this question because I honestly don't know, and I don't know if he knows this band. I fell head over heels in love with these guys when they first hit the scene, I think in 2003. This is the third album. I have the other 2 on digital. The Smith Westerns, Diet Blonde. They were out of Chicago. And I love all 3 of their albums. They're fantastic. Is this what you call lo-fi music? Or shoegaze? Because it's very... The music overpowers the vocals on most of the first album and most of the second album, too. Here it's a little bit more clear. But I love this band, and I know they've broke up and they've gone on their separate ways to do other stuff. I haven't kept track of them. I should, because I really love them. Smith Western's Diet Blonde. Sneaker. This is their second album, Loose in the World. They did not have any big hits off this. One of the last things issued on the short-lived Handshake Records label. Their first album, this one, I love this album. It has Don't Let Me In and More Than Just the Two of Us, which are both... More Than Just the Two of Us hit the top 40. Don't Let Me In just missed the top 40. But terrific. Again, soft pop, I believe, again, from the Bay Area, if I'm not mistaken. I might be wrong about that. They were really great. I wish they'd done better. Mentioned this as a grail. I had found this online years ago, finally. And when I got in the vinyl community, and I found it for $5 from a Discogs seller for a promo mint condition copy, I jumped at it. This is Skateboarding USA from Sneakers and Lace. The members of this is all skateboard-centric songs. The members of Sneakers and Lace were at the time high school students at PA High, the Performing Arts High School in New York. Hilariously funny stuff, especially Sidewalk Convoy, which is a ripoff of C.W. McCall's Convoy. It is hilarious. But they can sing, and they were really good. And it was produced and mostly written by Phil and Mitch Margot of the Tokens. Great stuff. Sniffin' the Tears. This is Fickle Heart. This is the album that had their only big hit on it, Driver's Seat. They deserved so much better. This album is really terrific. Rock new wave with a slight disco bent to it. Really great stuff. The Spinners, I believe this was from Record Crate also. This is Pick of the Litter. This is the album that had They Just Can't Stop It, Games People Play, which is one of those singles, 1975, that the singles, depending on which pressing plant you got them from, had different parts of the song in the parentheses. The correct title, according to the album, is They Just Can't Stop It. It's right. Third song on side 2. But the singles, some singles are marked that way. Other singles are marked Games People Play, They Just Can't Stop It, in parentheses. It was a top 3 hit. It was a great song, and the album is terrific. I have 2 copies of this also. I got one by accident because I had actually asked for the other album that was in by this band, and they sent me the wrong one. I don't remember where I got it. I think it was a Discog seller. But this actually has an autograph from the lead singer, Mimi Rousseau. This is a Columbus, Ohio-based band called Spit and Image. They had their own TV show one year during the Ohio State Fair. It was on every night at 11:30 for 2 weeks. Great band. And Mimi Rousseau, this was made out to Jeff. Thanks for coming in today. Mimi was the lead singer. The album that I had actually, that was the one I got from them. This is the original copy I had from when I was in Ohio. They had an album with MCA. That was the one I was trying to buy, and they sent me the wrong one. So I've just never tried to get it again. And the last pile for this show. This surprised me. I didn't know what to expect. I bought it strictly for the cover and the colored vinyl. It's one of those things I got from Record Crate, and it was worth it. It's a very interesting EP. It's called Starbenders. Features Zero, Julian When I Was Sleeping, Closer Than Most, and Taking a Cut. It's Kimmy Shelter, Aaron Lesesny, Chris Takachu, and Emily Moon on really cool red vinyl. I've actually had 2 or 3 people write me on Discogs asking if I want to sell it because it's hard to find. No, thank you. I like it. Next up, another... Oh, sorry about that. I just banged the microphone. Another group you guys know I love and are going, for the love of God, TC, why? Because I do. Sterling Vocal Band, 4x4. This was their final album as a group. It includes their second and last top major Hot 100 hit, Loving You With My Eyes. It did actually hit the top 20 on the AC chart. Also, A Fool in Love, Love I Thought I Would Never Find Love, and Love Stuff. And their god-awful version of La Bamba called Everybody La Bamba. Love these guys. You guys know that. I've done a whole influencers on them. This is their third album, Late Night Radio. Features Late Night Radio, Akron, and their cover of Third Rate Romance. Great, great album. Probably my favorite of all 4 of them. I love Late Night Radio. Rearview Mirror, this was the album that had just come out when they had their short-lived, well, it was a summer series, when they had their Summer 77 series on CBS. That was the backdrop they were posing for. No hits came off this nationally. The Light of My Life hit #1 on Dayton's at WHIO AM. It was a huge AC hit. This album is good, but it wasn't as good as the first album, and definitely isn't as good as the third album. And this is the debut. This has Afternoon Delight, as well as the lesser hits, lesser chart entries, California Day and Hail Hail Rock and Roll, and their exquisite all a cappella version of Paul Simon's American Tune. I really think people give them the shaft, but you guys already know that. Then the Stars on 45's album. This is Stars on Long Play. Got some water damage when I moved across country. This is the original one that had the #1 medley, the Beatles medley with Sugar Sugar and Venus on it. This is the second album, Stars on Long Play 2. Features their more Stars 70s, 60s, and 70s stuff, their introductions medley, and their ABBA medley. Really good stuff. I need to get that all done for the dance show. And the third album, Stars on Long Play 3. This has the Rolling Stones medley and the Stevie Wonder medley, and it is awesome. Okay. One band, this is actually, I think there's several different versions of this cover that's colored differently, because I've actually seen it in orange also. This is Steel Breeze from 1982. They had one minor hit called You Don't Love Me Anymore. Really great early 80s pop with a slight country tinge to it in places. I really love this, and I love that song. That song was a huge hit on the Kirkham Report. I got this from... No, I did not. I got this from Black Box. Asia, Steely Dan. I had the singles. I know, actually, that's not true. I did not have Peg. I did have Deacon Blues. Deacon Blues is my favorite Steely Dan song. I love that song. FM is not on this, although it came out that year. It was strictly on the FM soundtrack. Josie's on here also. This is their best-selling album by far, and I like Steely Dan. I've gotten into them more as I've gotten older. I've always liked their singles, and like I said, I love Deacon Blues and Hey 19. I love both of those. And this album is terrific. It's as good as everyone said it was. I've never heard the whole thing until I got it. Stray Cats now. Stray Cats, Built for Speed. This was the debut album with Rock This Town, Stray Cat Strut, and I think those were the only singles off there. Great rockabilly 80s stuff from Brian Setzer and crew. And the follow-up album, Rant and Rave with the Stray Cats, which featured Sexy and 17, and I Won't Stand in Your Way. The flip side of the single of I Won't Stand in Your Way has an a cappella version on it that's absolutely fabulous. Striker. This one I got from Adam, I think. Yeah, $1.99. I'd never heard of it before. It was a blind buy. It's pretty good pop rock from late 70s. And two classic Stylistics albums I picked up from Adam also. This one, Let's Put It All Together, features the title track. And let's see here. I think We Can Make It Happen Again, and of course You Make Me Feel Brand New, which was one of their biggest hits. They were great. They're one of my favorite R&B groups of the 70s. And the other one was one that was later, You Are Beautiful, which I did not know anything on when I picked it up. I think I'd heard the single, which is the title track. But this has got some great stuff on it, and it's top-notch. It's the Stylistics. You're not going to get bad stuff from them because they just really knew how to do incredible 5-part harmony. They were awesome. That is going to do it for this one and for this week. I won't be doing another one of these probably until sometime next week, and it may be late next week because, I don't know, I might get one done over the weekend. But I've been off work this week. Next week I'm going back to work. I have classes both days. I'm in the building this week, so I'm going to be pooped. But it's always fun doing these for you, and I'm glad people are finally starting to comment on it. On that note, thank you for listening, and please, if you haven't subscribed already, please do, and don't forget to share, like, and comment. Comment. If you can afford to do so, please support our GoFundMe. We could really use your help right now. We are starting to pull things together a little bit, but we could really use a little more help, a little boost to make sure we don't start drowning again. It would be really appreciated. And if you can't do that, join our Patreon or donate through Ko-Fi or Buy Me a Coffee. Those little donations also help us out. Until next time, for the next edition of TC's Vinyl Archive, the complete album library, I'm TC Kirkham, TKR Video Central. I will see you on the interwebs. Ciao, baby.